Hi everyone, this is the pre-lecture for the topic of elasticity. Okay, now for this topic, we are going deeper into the study of consumer behavior. Now, we studied this a couple of lessons ago, all right, on consumer behavior. You remember that we mentioned that people buy things is following the law of demand. Higher price, we buy lesser. Lower price, we buy more. Okay. Now we are still sticking to this law of demand. Okay. Higher price, we buy lesser. Lower price, we buy more. Okay. Now look at this curve. Okay. Now this is still a demand curve. Can you see that it's a bit more steep compared to the usual curve that we draw? Okay. Now we have this point A. Okay, I just take a random point A, giving you this price level and this quantity. Okay, quantity demanded. Now, what if I increase the price? Let's say I double the price. Okay, from this point to this to here. Okay, that means I choose a point B. All right. Now let's label the change in the measurements. Can you see that when the curve is very steep, okay, when there is a big increase in the price, can you see that price has almost doubled? Okay, look at this long arrow. Okay, the price has almost doubled. Now, when things are more expensive, by right, people should buy less. In this case, people do buy less. Okay, so we fulfill the law of demand. But can you see that people buy only a little bit lesser? Okay, prices go up a lot, but people buy a little bit lesser. Now, imagine yourself as a consumer. Do you see yourself or other people behaving this way when the price of the good has become very expensive and people continue largely to buy? They only buy a little bit less or lesser. Okay? Now, if you have ever seen people behaving like this, what kind of good do you think they are buying? When things are more expensive, all right, and they still try to buy as much as they can, all right, but obviously when things become more expensive, they can't afford to buy so much, all right, they buy lesser, but by a little bit. What kind of good could we be talking about? All right, try to think about that. Now let me show you another kind of demand curve. Now you see this kind of demand curve is very flat, okay, very flat. Let's see what happens. Again, I pick this random point A, okay, random point A, and they give us this price level and this amount of quantity. All right. Now again, let me increase the price. Now because the curve is very flat, let me increase the price by just a little bit. Okay, point B. Now you see what happens when I move from point A to point B on the demand curve that's very flat. Now can you see that the price level has gone up a little bit? Okay. Now let's take a look at our law of demand again. Price go up, we should be buying lesser, lower quantity demanded. Can you see that people buy a lot lesser? Okay, so when price go up, a lot of people just say, forget it, I'm not going to buy. All right, so quantity demanded falls by a lot. Now again, think about this. Have you ever gone to buy something and then you see that the price have gone up and you say, forget it, I'm not going to buy? Now, what kind of good would cause you to behave like that? Now, think about this also. When you behave like this, you think that something is expensive, you say, never mind, I go somewhere else. Do you think you have a lot of choices? That means, do you have a lot of other alternatives, or must you stick to this good? Okay, so think about this. Prices go up by a little bit, but people buy a lot less. Okay, my question to you was, what kind of good do you think would cause people to behave like this? Now, what we talked about earlier was price elasticity, where we study how people behave when the price change. Okay, so that was price elasticity. Now, we want to look at how people buying behavior change when other things change. Now, income elasticity measures people's buying behavior when their income level changes. Okay, now from this study, we can tell whether a certain good is normal, that means it could be a necessity or luxury, or whether the good is inferior, something that people doesn't really want. Okay, now we can study other form of elasticities like cross elasticity, where we can determine the relationship between two goods such as substitute and complement. All right, this one we have mentioned about it in the topic on demand and supply. Okay, so this topic is still studying buyer's behavior, human behavior in terms of buying when certain things change. All right, price elasticity, as we mentioned earlier, was when price changes. Okay, and income elasticity is when income changes, and cross elasticity is when the price of another good has changed. That can tell us the relationship between two goods. Okay, some calculation is involved in this topic, so more practice will help you. Okay, see you for the next topic.